So hello everyone, welcome. My name is Jenny Heyman and I am a North American Hub Coordinator for the Open Education for a Better World Project 2020 cohort. And we will see many developers and mentors joining us on the webinar today from different parts of the world and from different hubs as part of the project. Just a short word about the project. This is the third year of the project. It's sponsored by UNESCO and other organizations, and it's led by a team from Slovenia at the Joseph Stefan Institute and at Nova Gorica in Vipava. And they're doing wonderful work helping us organize developers and mentors, pairing them together to create open educational resources for a better world. So hence the name of the project. And we are in, month 2 or so of development of projects. And we're doing a series of webinars to support developers and mentors in the ways that they can create and share open educational resources. So our guest speaker today, Suzana, and I want to say, I hope I say your last name correctly, Loshkovska yes. From Macedonia is joining us. She is going to talk with us about file formats and about open source software that we can use to create and share, and more importantly, share open educational resources in ways that they can be used by other educators and other learners. So I'll open the floor to Suzana to introduce herself. She's going to share a PowerPoint with us. Just as a reminder, we're recording the webinar, so you may or may not appear on camera. If you ask questions and so on, that will likely happen. But welcome to everyone and welcome to Suzana. And Suzana, I will let you take over and I will support you and use the chat to help everyone as we go along.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, you can share your screen if you're ready.
I will share my screen with a PowerPoint presentation and I will start to introduce myself during the presentation. I'm Suzana Loshkovska and I'm professor at the Faculty of Computer Science and Engineering at the University St. Cyril and Methodius in Skopje. My main interest is computer science, and therefore, why I'm giving talk about tools for adaptation and posting of OERs. But I have to warn you, if you, for example, expect that you will obtain now the recipes, what you have to do, it is not this kind of presentation. This presentation is probably to make you aware of the things or about the topics that you have to think when you are selecting technologies and tools when you are doing your projects. So you will see there are a lot of materials on the slides. And for many of the slides, I'm not going to go into the details. Those slides are given and put there intentionally only to provide you a good base or material or resource where you can search and find something that is that you can use during your project work. I will put some questions during those slides that you have to be aware, and maybe I will give you some direction how to think in order to solve some problems. I will start with the basic definition of what is open educational what are open educational resources, and probably you have already seen this definition that the OER in fact describes publicly accessible materials and resources for any user to use, remix, improve, or redistribute. Starting from this definition, you will see that there are two parts that are related to the tools and technologies, and that really, in fact, influence how you will select the tools, which tools you will use or which technology you will use during your projects. In fact, the main point in this OER is the learning content. the learning content can be organized on different ways. I'm not pointing out what is the learning content. The learning content can be anything, but the point is that even the learning content can be organized on several different ways. Even the same content can be organized, for example, using textbooks, using presentations, using videos, and so on and so on. In that context, you need tools or technology how to create, store, and share those resources. So I will go through these parts briefly and try to explain or to give you some directions how to deal with the problems that can appear when selecting technologies, depending on the way how you organize your learning content. The main I will stick somehow my presentation having in mind the life cycle of OERs. There is a very basic picture that connects 4 stages, the design. This question mark is intentionally put there because there are also tools for the design phase, but I will not discussing about them. We already spoke with Jenny, and also there will be a discussion with the project leaders how to, for example, provide additional repository where I can add more information about these things that I can. I will just mention today, and I will not explaining in more details later. But we will discuss more about the tools that are required for the development and implementation phase, the delivery phase, or use, reuse, revision, and any other things that in this phase. We will discuss about editing and processing tools, and we will discuss about the delivery media, repositories, and way how to view the content. Okay. How do you select the technology? To be really honest, learning content is one of the points that you have to consider when selecting the technology. But for me, the main role has the user. Who is the user? Who will use this educational resource? What is his background? What is his motivation? What is the context, and so on. In that situation, think about the users before you think about the organization of the learning content, because if you know you're a user, you will easily select the presentation to a presentation approach, and also you will easily select the technology required to develop the resource and to distribute, deliver the resource to the user. Also, additional issues are accessibility. What if the user doesn't have a permanent internet connection? In that context, you have to think about different delivery medias. What are the costs for the resource, and what is at the end, what is the pedagogical suitability? There are more issues in this field. So you have also to clear copyright issues. That means that your resource is compatible with Creative Commons licensing. Then you have to provide a good formatting of the resource and accessibility. Is your, for example, is your resource stored in some learning management system that is not visible for the other users, or your resource is easily recognizable or easily findable from for other users, and so on and so on. As I already told you, there are a lot of open questions related to the users. I will mention the first open issue. that is, who are the users for open educational resources? We usually think only for the learners, but there are additional users of OERs. In fact, other content developers are users of your OER. So you have to think in that moment when you are creating or designing your OER, not only how you will deliver the knowledge to the learners, but also how you will develop your OER that other developers can easily use, reuse, remix your OER in order to provide also good learning content for the other users. There are a lot of issues, as I mentioned before, that you have to think about. What are the motivation of the user for using your OER? What is their background knowledge? What they have as a technology? Are there some economical issues, cultural issues, and so on? One interesting point at this moment that I have to mention is also what is the context in which the learner will use the OER. Context can be, let's say, environment and everything around him, but the context can be also some kind of process during the learning curve when, for example, the learner will acquire the knowledge step by step, linearly, or in some other fashion or level. Okay, if we stick to the technology only, the starting point is that OER can be, let's say, delivered as a text, in a text format, in audio format, or in video format. But this is the most basic division of OERs into the formats. Each of you knows that it is not possible to have only video OER or only audio or only text. Many OERs, for example, are presentations, web pages, textbooks, and all of them contains not only text, some of them contains images, web pages can contain audio material, can contain video material, and so on. In that context, we need several different kinds of tools, as I previously briefly mentioned, that is, we need search engines if we want to find and reuse some OER. We need recording tools if we want to develop a new audio or video material. We need processing tools if we want to process something that we have already downloaded or something that we are creating now. At the end, if we want to create, for example, an excellent web page as a learning OER, we can maybe need programming languages in order to, for example, program dynamic web page, not only static information and static content for the user. In that context, we are coming to the point of something that is called technical openness. The idea is following. Okay, you can find OER that is open, that is according to CC license. You can do whatever you want to do, but there is one big problem. You do not have access to the editing tools. You do not have a level of expertise that is required to make changes or to adapt the learning material to your needs. They're not meaningfully editable. They're not self-sourced. For example, many learning materials are delivered as PDF files. PDF files are easy to be distributed, easy to be seen, easy to be retrieved. But the main problem with PDF files is that you require special tool how you will edit that. So in that occasion, self-sourced OERs can help to the developer to easily manage or to easily change the content of previously downloaded OER. This is the slide that is with a lot of text, and this is this kind of slides that I have promised that I will not go through very deeply. But if you want to understand what is access to editing tools, what is the level of expertise required, and so on, you can easily stick to this slide and just look at the questions, and you will immediately recognize what is better. For example, access to editing tools. If the open content is the open content published in a format that can be revisited or remixed with extremely expensive tools, or can be run on very discontinued platforms? That is, the things that your OER can be used only in a small community that have these tools and platform. You have to change additionally the format of the OER in order to make this resource available for many people. The similar question can be asked for a level of expertise required, meaningfully editable, and self-sourced OERs. Be careful when you are selecting your tools and technology to these four issues, because they can be extremely important if you want to develop really useful OERs. And now we are coming to something that I'm using in my speech very often. What is the file format? In fact, the file format is the way how the material is stored on the computer memory. Usually, file format contains some queues of zeros and ones, and computer can recognize them and can interpret those numbers in order to provide you information in human readable format. But the point with the file format is that some of the file formats are developed by companies, and some companies consider them those formats like trade secrets. That means the trade secrets are not, maybe it's not the main point that they are trade secrets in this context, but the point is that if they're trade secrets, they usually offer special applications or tools that you have to use in order to work with this kind of file formats. If you want to provide OER that can be easily reused, remixed, re-edited, try to stick to so-called free formats or open format. That is a way that provides rules how the data will be stored into the computer memory, but can be used and with tools that are open, that, for example, are not so expensive and that are more freely available. The point is that in this situation, also there exist a lot of this kind of file formats, and sometimes you can be probably very confused, because also, again, a free file format doesn't mean that the OER in fact fulfilled the previously mentioned four issues. Be careful, not all open formats are okay, they are free, but maybe they are not convenient to be used for developing OERs. For example, there exist file formats that are considered as trade secrets, but we are still using them more for developing OERs than to use open file formats. Why? Because many of the tools which are open use that file format and provide tools how to edit this format. Okay, let's look with what we are dealing. For example, the acronym PNG is a file format that is used to store images. FLAC is a file format that is used to store audio. WebM is file format that is used to store video, audio, and so on. HTML is it's not a file format, but HTML is a markup language that is used to add additional information to any text how to be interpreted inside the browser. In fact, HTML files are ordinary text files. They have only different extension. They are just, if you open in any editor, you will see just plain text. JZip is a file format that is used for compression. Sometimes when your OER contains more than one file, it is not good for the user to download file by file one by one. So you are just compressing everything or archiving everything into one file using some kind of compression, and the user will download the source resource very simply. CSS is also some kind of format that is used for formatting of HTML web pages. Okay, why is the format important? A very short example. I have already discussed about the PDF, but again, I have to repeat that. You can, for example, select something that seems that is very reasonable for you to deliver your learning material. But the point is that the end user cannot, for example, fulfill those 4 criteria in order to remix, reuse your resource. I know everybody can say, okay, you can select something from PDF and copy in your file, but it's not the best solution. The best solution is to convert PDF into any editable format. And what is interesting, the best tool for working with PDF is Pressbook, as it is suggested on the internet. But the point is that the Pressbook is good tool for editing PDF, but it's not free. It is cheap, but it's still not free. So you have to think about that too. Additionally, if you are working in a mobile environment, PDF is not good way how you will deliver your content. Why? Because there is, okay, at least there is no possibility to resize and rearrange the content. You have to zoom in your content, and you will obtain unreadable content. You need some kind of format that will provide possibility your content to be resized on rearrange on the screen area that is available in mobile format. Let's switch to the different kind of content organization and discuss a little bit about them. This part is text-based content of OER. In fact, there is, okay, I will say that there no exists only text-based content. In very few situation at present, you can find only text as a OER. In order to provide better learning material, many content creators usually add some kind of charts, images. If this material is delivered on internet, then they add also audio materials, video materials, and so on. But let's stick only on text-based content, or that means OERs that are mostly that the content of the learning content is mostly text organized. General categories of text formats are HTML files or web pages, good format for organizing almost everything, but it's very bad if you want to remix, edit the material and so on. That means if you try to adapt HTML files or complete website, you have to download almost each web page inside the site and then to modify the resource. Additional Word or open Office documents. I know that the Word is commercial software, but format of Word is compatible to open Office file format, so you can open the Word-based document into free LibreOffice and so on, and you can edit this document. The best way is to provide text files for the OERs, but the point with the text files is that you only have ordinary text. You do not have these embellishments or this good formatting that will provide a better understanding of what you are reading. EPUB, LaTeX file, and PDF documents are the general categories that are mostly or commonly used today to organize and to store text-based formats. But look now, although I discuss about the general file formats, look in which, how many different kinds of formats are used in order to store the text-based information. The point is that some of those formats, in fact, result into the text files that can be opened and edited with any editor on the computer, on a computer. But some of these formats like DOC, DOCX, ODT, RTF require more sophisticated tools, for example, LibreOffice, Word, and so on. And the list is not complete. Now you have an additional list with different kinds of formats. How you will recognize which format in which format your file is stored. Usually these acronyms are in fact extensions of the files under which the resource is stored into the memory of the computer. Another slide with a lot of formats. I decided to put everything here only to provide you information what any of these formats means and can you use that or not. For example, WPT format, it's a Microsoft template file format, but compatibility with other tools in unknown. So if you try to, for example, store this your resource into this format, you will probably have a problem with other developers who will want to use this kind of resource. So try to use this information in order to, for example, organize your sources. Here are also a presentation file formats. I put this slide here because mostly the tools that are used for editing or processing the text are used, the same tools are used also for processing presentation files. And we are now going to some slide that is very interesting. This slide, in fact, gives you some kind of examples of which format can be edited by which tool. There are 3 columns into the table. The first column represents the original format. The second column represents the editing tools that is web-based. That means you can find these tools on the internet. And the third column represents the desk-based version of the tool. You see, for example, if you have something stored in Word or Open Office format, you can use Google Docs and Pressbooks in order to edit this text on a web, or you can use Microsoft Word, OpenOffice, or LibreOffice on your desk. There's also additional tools and formats into the table. Okay, the next slide provides you some suggestion what you can use as a tool to create text-based OER. Many of these tools are open source. Some of them are free. Some of them are cheap. For example, Pressbook is cheap tool. It's not completely free. Some of them, even they're even they cost some money. Provide you options with provide you some free options. That means you can use the tool with limited possibilities in order to edit your OER. Also, at the end of each tool, there is a link to the web page related to the tool. Also, there are additional information what you can do with those tools. It is very interesting that Inkspace, in fact, is a tool for editing images, but taking into account that PDF files can be easily edited as images, Inkspace is included in this list here. For those tools, I don't provide you web links, but you can easily Google those tools, or if you need something, you can find the tool on the internet and use into your for your work. Okay, we are coming to the category that in fact is very tricky. The point is, what is image? In image format, usually can be stored ordinary image, but in image format are usually stored even the charts, some drawings, and so on. You will see that my list is not complete. There is missing some things, but I will discuss in the time when we will discuss the tools. Common image file formats are, you probably know many of them: JPEG, PNG, TIFF format, SVG. And the idea with many of those formats is that they store the image like a matrix of dots. For each dot, they use a number that is related to the color of that dot into the image. The main problem with these image files is that you will have when you will edit the image stored in this image format, you will have a problem if you want to resize the image. That means if you try to enlarge the image, you have to enlarge the matrix with the dots, and there will appear some dots that are, for example, free. These dots should be somehow filled with the color, and this color is usually obtained by calculating something. So if you want to edit image, try to find a format that is so-called vector format. That means the image is not stored like a matrix of dots, but is stored in a way that you can work with the elements of image like any object. You can increase the dimension of the object and so on. I think that SVG is this kind of a format. All other formats are in fact image formats. Again, the list is not only the previous slide. The list is includes these formats too, and you see that there are a lot of formats where how you can store image into the computer memory. Tools. There are a lot of tools that you can use to create image, to process image, to edit image. And most of those tools are in fact tools that provide you, that are free and that provide you processing of image stored in the so-called bit files, or format that I have previously discussed is that is stored into the computer memory like matrix of dots. This online editor I have used several times is very convenient because it's not necessary to download. It can work on any platform. I am not advertising that. I'm not paid for that, but I have experience with that. For some tools, I have even provided of which kind of platforms you can use those tools, and many of them provide almost any tool that is required for image editing, and that you can find even in commercial tools like Adobe or Photoshop. First time I'm providing here information about the hosting options, or where you can find free images that are that you can use into your OER. Flickr is the most popular hosting platform, and it provides its own search engine. And if you customize the search engine with filter that Flickr will, the search engine will return all your, will return all its stored images that are somehow denoted as creative with Creative Commons licensing. So you can use those images completely free, or you can check what is the license and use images according to the license. Audio. Okay, it seems that it's not so difficult like image, but there are not so many audio formats. The most popular is MP3 format, and the interesting thing is that although MP3 format it had a patent, it can be openly used. That is what I have previously talked about. There are some commercial formats that are patented, but they can be freely used because there are a lot of tools that recognize them and provide tools how to edit this kind of files. Although FLAC, OGG, Vorbis are preferred audio formats, I think that the most popular is MP3. Additionally, again, you have already accustomed to this. There are a lot of another free audio formats. You can use any of these formats to store your resource, or you can find a resource that uses any of these formats in order to use into your for your project, but you have to be careful about the tools they need to be edited. From the very big list of audio tools, I will point out only two of these tools because they are open. Audacity is, I have used this and I played with this software a lot. It is very easy, but it has only one, let's say, a problem. You have to install some codec if you want to store your file as MP3 file. GarageBand is very It's very, let's say, powerful, but it's not for a beginner. Audacity you can use as a beginner too. Okay, some pre-option for hosting audios. In fact, those tools, the first 3 tools allow you to host your audio material, but some of them also provide you with the possibility to create your own podcasts and to create your audio material using their tools. iTunes is mentioned here only because it is a huge directory services for podcasts, but the point is that iTunes, it's not a repository. It only contains links to the original storage of the audio materials, but anyhow, you can easily access and find the source of the audio material. We are going to the videos. There are several different kinds of video file formats, but most commonly used is MPEG-4 at present. Usually, Apple users use this MOV format. MOV format, although is developed by Apple, and it seems that is a costly file format. There are a lot of tools that support this tool that are freely, and you can use the format files with this format without any problem. Be careful with some of these files, file formats, because some of them are, for example, owned by commercial companies. For example, this is from Adobe, and it can be a problem to be used with OER. Even here is the sentence that neither file format is recommended for OER. These 2 file formats are it's not only the problem that are developed by commercial company, but it's also a problem how you will edit those files. To be really honest, for me, video editing is the most difficult thing when you want to remix or re-edit your OERs. But in fact, there are a lot of very good quality OERs on the internet. Anything that you have to perform, for example, is to localize the content. That means you have to switch off audio, and you have to add new audio to the file. So be careful which tool you will use in this endeavor. You can create videos on several different ways. To create video, you need a video camera and storage. But a very common way of creating OERs is screen recording. We are doing the same now. In fact, someone is presenting something on the screen of the computer and talking during the presentation. So we are doing now. These several tools are in fact free. I have played with all of them, and they're very easy to be worked with them. Anyhow, I will propose, if you want to do something very fast, and if you're a beginner, I will propose Lightshot, because you have to download, and you will, if you have at least common computer knowledge, you will easily learn this tool, and you can use this tool to make your OER by screen recording. There are also a lot of animation tools. Those tools are open software. Maybe they are not so powerful as commercial tools, for example, Maya, 3D, and so on, but you can easily use them in order to, for example, add some animation into your OERs. Although I already told you that, in fact, video material is most difficult to be produced in this context. Okay, a lot of tools for video editing, OpenShoot, VideoPad, and so on. You can easily, I also provided links to those tools and information on which platform you can use them. iMovie is, for example, easy to be used, but the main problem is you can use it only on Mac. Shotcut you can use on any platform as you wish. Okay, where you can find video OERs? YouTube. If you look through this chat session, at the beginning I shared a link to the tool which you can use to download YouTube material. I will add this link also to the slides after I finish the webinar. And this tool provides you possibility to download a YouTube video and afterwards to edit this video. But be careful, you have to check the licensing of YouTube videos, because not all of YouTube videos are free to be edited or modified or remixed. SchoolTube and TeacherTube, they are hosting videos that are intentionally, that are intended for the learning. So you can find a lot of useful OERs there, which you can reuse into your projects. Vimeo is compatible with YouTube, but with a smaller user base. The main problem with the videos and these platforms is that, okay, with the YouTube and the Vimeo, the main problem is that you can find a lot of material, but there is no reviewing process. You can only find this liking process, but not reviewing of the material. So sometimes you have to be careful what you are downloading, because some of the materials, although they seem that are very good, in fact are very poorly done and don't contain any reliable information into them. And now we are coming to the, let's say, maybe the most important part, especially for those of us who are beginners. This is storage and delivery part. Why it is the most important? Because as you know, your project is only for 2 or 3 months, so you do not have a lot of time to do a lot of things. So maybe the best way to perform or to develop something which is very good is to try to use something that is already developed. So in this way, we are coming to the point how to find OERs, or at the end, how to store your developed OER in order to be visible to all other users. I will start something. I will start with the delivery media. Why this is important? Delivery media is important only in order to find in which format you will store your tool and how you will deliver to the users. At present, all these generations are available. There exist parts in the world that where the only way how you can deliver your OER is in the printed material. Also, you can deliver as audio tape, video tape, and so on. Think about these delivery medias and for example, maybe I will suggest, if you have a time during the project, try to think of possibility to use more than one media for your OER, because in that way the OER will become more recognizable and more useful. Many different kinds of users can use this this material if you have time. The second, okay, we will start with the storing or delivering the materials. I will here divide the possibility in two main groups. The first group is learning management systems, and the second group is repositories. Both provide storing. Repositories provide search engines, while a learning management system provides completely monitoring of the education part of the using OERs. So means that learning management systems also give you possibility to make administrative works for OER if you want to provide these resources on more systematic way to the, for example, some class of students. The LMS usually have their internal assessment tools, so you can develop assessment parts of your projects and courses. They have course management, authoring, and so on. What is the problem with LMS? The problem is that many of those elements are organizational LMS, so most of them are not visible to any user. They are not searchable, and many of them require some kind of enrollment. Additionally, some of the LMS that are used commonly are even commercial. For example, maybe the most popular LMS Blackboard is commercial. It is used almost everywhere, but it's a commercial tool. Widely used open source LMS is Moodle, and I think that many universities, especially in Europe, use this Moodle as a LMS system. I will repeat again, it is very useful if you want to organize your learning content as a complete course with assessments, forums, and everything, but it can be very difficult to be discovered from outside. And
Suzana, sorry, hello. Hi, Suzana, it's
yes?
Jenny. I just want to let you know we have about 8 minutes left. So I just want to make sure that, yeah, I was giving you a time check. I promised I would.
Yes, I have only slides with a lot of resources now. So
no, very good. Yeah.
Ask about the repositories.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, the repositories are services that that provides you with possibilities to store OER, and to search those OERs. They are visible for many users, although they ask you to apply for or to enroll to the repository, but it's not a problem. From this point on, there are a lot of links with the information about different kinds of repositories. For example, the repository that I like a lot is ECS Library OER Guide, because it's a very huge website with a lot of subsites that contains links to the different kind of resources. For example, open educational resources, open textbooks, open courses, and so on. And if you can see, now there are a lot of these kind of repositories that are mentioned here. For some of them, I also provided some information what you can do, but for the beginners, maybe it's good to start from some of these repositories and to try to find materials that are interested for them. The point is that repositories usually provide you with search engines. So if you are not sure does this repository contains material that you need, then try to use the search engine. Try to use some keywords and look what you will obtain. Okay, there are a lot of this kind of slides. The next one are repositories from digital, from institutions. Many universities have this kind of repositories. This is not complete, it's only some of them. those repositories are open completely. They are not generally intended for OERs, but they provide some free material. You have to be careful with this kind of repositories because not everything that is there is licensed with Creative Commons. You have to look at the licenses, and some of them now ask for some payment. That means you have to pay something in order to use the repository. For example, SlideShare is not also neither reviewed, so be careful what you will obtain from these repositories. Some random links, some another random repositories. You see there are a lot of them. You can be lost trying to find something that is useful for you. For example, those links I put yesterday, not because that I found them yesterday, but because I realized that they're very important. The first link provides you very good organizations about different kinds of repositories. There are links to the different repositories that you can use. H5P and GitHub can be used as a repositories, but also can be used as a development tools. And in order to leave a little bit time, I will just briefly discuss how you will find OERs. One way to find OERs is to use tools Creative Commons search. You can find this tool on the following address, but you can use also the search that is implemented into all repositories. But if you do not know where to start, maybe the good way is to start to use Google and to find Google Advanced Search option. At the bottom of the Google Advanced Search option, there is a possibility to set some rights. Which kind of material do you want? And in the part usage right, just set free to share or modify. And you will obtain the list of resources that are indexed by Google and have that license, so you can, for example, obtain what you need from different kinds of repositories, not to search repository by repository. Okay, we can discuss about the technology like hardware, but I think it will require additional 1 hour. Even I didn't tackle neither the half of the things that I like to talk to you today. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open to any question. I will leave my email address because now I realize that I haven't put my email address into the presentation. I will leave my email address, and you can contact me through this address. I do not promise that I can answer all your questions, but I will try to be helpful. And we will discuss with Jenny and Anya how to make a repository where I will put additional links for additional tools for different formats or different organization of learning content that I have up to now and that you can use freely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Suzana. That was a great presentation. There were a few questions. I don't know, Suzana, do you have about 5 or 10 minutes additional?
Yes, no problem.
If you have, so anyone would like to stay and hear a few of the questions and some of the answers, we'll do that as well. But we won't go more than 10 minutes. So there were a few questions as you went along, Suzana. One of them was, how can we create interactive animated introduction videos, suggestions of any software? So you have suggestions like Powtoon or other ideas for creating animations?
Oh, okay. Programming languages. The best way to create interactive OER is to use HTML5. That means to use web pages and to use some kind of scripting language in order to add dynamic parts of the content.
Right. So
That's
we'll
the first
investigate
thing
some of those. Yeah, editors.
that I have in mind now.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm programming. What I'm programmer, and what I first what I will think about is how to program something.
Right. That's fair. I know there are some HTML5 editing tools, and we'll search out some open ones to include with our resources for sure. And so someone was asking about repositories for interactive OERs. So that's a good question. It's probably searchable in Merlot and in OER Commons to find something interactive. But other than H5P, what would you suggest, Suzana?
I haven't seen during when I was visiting all of these repositories, except H5P, I haven't seen anything like that.
Right, and I think that interaction in the way that H5P does it is still fairly new. We used to have Storyline and Articulate, and these are very expensive proprietary softwares that do that. And animations in PowerPoint, for example, but it's not very interactive. I feel like H5P is kind of the newest and best tool, certainly the best open tool that we're using right now.
Therefore, I just mentioned that taking into account that for animations, it's really tricky. They use something when they develop video games to add interaction, but it's also a very expensive tool for developing something, and I don't think it will go with OER. The only thing that I'm now thinking about is programming.
Right.
You can provide everything freely and flexibly, and in this situation, probably HTML5.
We had a question, Suzana, which is the best free platform for hosting MOOCs with this simple platform for beginners?
Okay, I don't know the answer of this one.
Sure, I think that
yeah. Okay, therefore I said the point is that I usually came to MOOCs through the universities that they produce MOOCs.
Right.
So to be really honest, I never thought that the idea to share, you can use any web server to share that is free. To provide possibility to download GitHub, it's not difficult. The only thing is that you have to somehow upload the complete system to the GitHub. You can upload the complete structure, and GitHub provide you possibility to download everything as a zip, or you can use their platform. But to be really honest, I never thought about the MOOCs like something that is available almost everywhere. The person who asked that question can directly send me an email, and I will check and share this information to everybody that is interested in. I will, because the slides will be on Google Drive, each changes that I will make will be available to the participants. So maybe it's good to compile both all these questions now to send me, and I will answer to all these questions, and I will add that as a part of the presentation.
Great, Suzana, I'm going to save the whole chat. So I'll send that to you, the kinds of things that were kind of the questions that were emerging in the background. Another question someone would has, what are your quality considerations when judging and assessing user friendliness? So, so what do you think about when choosing a technology or a file format from the user's perspective?
Oh, the point is, again, who is the user? Who is the user? Is the learner or is the developer? If it's the learner, there are a lot of, there exist, let's say, some kind of methodology how you will test user friendliness of any electronic tool. You have to test is the tool is efficient, is effective, and is the user satisfied. You can check this one with the end users, but you can use also experts for cognitive psychology that they will use, that they will somehow measure the usefulness. The point is that there are a lot of different possibilities how you can test usability of any electronic tool. And this is additional open topic. For example, for learning materials, you need to check, is it learning content okay? That means really everything is true. The method pedagogy is in order, that a user at the end will fulfill his goal to acquire the knowledge about the topic. That is one part. Another part is how the presentation goes on. That means if the user should fulfill some task using this OER, is it for him possible to do that easily, efficient, without, for example, the user should use the OER for learning. It's not that user should learn technology and to spend a lot of time to learn the technology in order to learn. If I'm understanding.
Yeah, I think you're, no, sure. I think you're understanding that very well. I have a question from, yeah, I have a question from Dr. Siobhan, Suzana, maybe, Ganesh, would you like to speak and ask your question?
Yes. Jenny, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Jenny and Suzana. Really very resourceful presentation. I would like to know more resources for developing multimedia ebook, except that press book.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
So it's multimedia ebook, how to create an ebook.
You can use any, in fact, any processing tools as you wish. For example, the point is that at the end, you have to be careful only how you will store the OER. Now, each tool, even the commercial or non-commercial, provide you possibility to do that. Any presentation tool, any tool for preparing presentation provide you good opportunity to develop multimedia OER.
So things that produce an EPUB, there are a variety of things in addition to Pressbook. Yes, Suzana?
Yes.
And we'll find some additional links if we don't have EPUB covered extensively, and we'll share some other ways than Pressbooks, because it's not inexpensive, Pressbooks.
Yeah, but I don't think I saw yesterday the price. It's not very big. I think couple dollars for a month. It's not expensive.
Yes, something like that. There used to be, Suzana, on the Mac, there was iBooks authoring tool would make an EPUB. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still supported.
In fact, I rarely use EPUB format because of the, let's say, compatibility issues with the students and the people that I'm collaborating. So I know only a few of possibilities, but if I have questions that are dedicated to something, I can find and provide links.
Right, and there's a really great website that I'm going to put in here, Suzana, called alternative.to, alternative.to. It's a really great website. So if you think I'm looking for a tool like Pressbooks, you can type it in and it will give you a list of alternatives, some of which are free, some of which are free versus professional tools, but it's a terrific website if you're looking for an alternative to an expensive piece of software.
It's very useful for me too.
Yeah.
Therefore, I put this link here, inventory of ICT tools, because it provides a very good starting point to tools that can be used, but also to repositories.
Great.
That was the idea why I did that. But the point is that I didn't have much time to check everything that I have opened yesterday.
Yes. All right, Suzana, we are at time, and I want to let everyone move on to other things in their day. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with us, and thank you for all the participants for attending and sharing your ideas in the chat. I will save the chat window, and we will share it as a resource as part of the OE for a Better World project. And that's a public website as well. So anyone who's participating with us today who's not part of the project, you can still benefit from the Open Education for a Better World website. And that's the last thing that I will put into our chat window is the link to the project website. It's an amazing project, and I appreciate all of you who are working as developers and mentors. So thanks everyone, have a great day.